Okay, so dear friends, welcome for practical workshop with Are Thoresen, number 4. So dear Ari, thank you for joining. Over to you.
Yeah, shall I say it again, maybe? I have been discussing with some German practitioner, and I need a pair of glasses. Do I have this? These are not mine, but I can see. You see, because when she was going into the spiritual, she got a different sort of result when she used the left eye and when she used the right eye. And we had this discussion. I was a week in Frankfurt and teaching, and she was finding then some quotes from Rudolf Steiner. GA 89. Through an organ up in the top of the head, which has not yet been opened, the human being is connected with Atman. Through the right eye, life spirit, Buddhi, flows into him. Through the left eye, spirit self, Manas, flowed into, through the right eye, the life spirit, Buddhi, flows into him. Through the left eye, spirit self flows into him. GA 91. Through the right eye passes the second principle, Buddhi. Through the left, the third principle, Manas. Through the right ear, the mind soul. Through the left, the sentient soul. Through the right nostril, the etheric body. Through the left nostril, the astral body. That was GA 91. One more from GA 91. The top opening of the head has a connection with Jupiter. The right eye is connected with Mercury. The right ear with Saturn. The right nostril with the Sun. The left nostril with the Moon. The left ear with Mars. The left eye with Venus. GA 219. When you look with your left and right eyes and have the lines of vision from right and from left, the activity of the gods is present in the vision from the right eye and again in the vision from the left eye, but the meeting of the two lines of vision lies the purely human element. So you see, why she was searching for this thing was because I realized when I was entering the spiritual, I used an alternation between my two eyes. I thought at first that when I went in, I pendulated. I wasn't directly centered, but then I realized I actually changed between the left eye and the right eye. And this I had been doing since I was little, because when I started to train shooting and they told me to shut the one eye, I wouldn't. I had both eyes open, and I sort of went back and forth from seeing the wholeness to seeing the line from these two on the gun. Yeah, I don't know what the English name is. So, and when she then started to pendulate between the two eyes, or actually spiraling, then we came the same place into the spiritual world. And this I've been doing the last week, understanding this. There's always something to understand, because I didn't understand that when I said that I thought I went straight, but I was actually pendulating between right ear, nose, eyes, sort of spiral or circular movement. And I explained it as, you know, when we look at something, then if you look at the eye, it goes back and forth all the time. Or when we stand, we actually go from right to left, right to left. We can't stand still. Like you drive a car, you're a little this way, little that way, a little this way, a little that way, all the time. So now I become a little conscious about this changing between the sense organs when you enter the spiritual, maybe also when you are in the physical. That's what I've been working with, as I said, the last 2 weeks. So I just wanted to mention it gets sort of more and more complicated. Or and then she found these quotes from Steiner, who actually makes it even more that the different left eye, left ear, right ear, left nostril, right nostril, that in sort of encompass the whole universe, and we cannot use only one organ to go in. And that is also why just now I was thinking that Steiner said that Vidar will bring the new clairvoyance. And by that he didn't mean that that it seems that that is a combination of eye and ear. What is this always here? Cancel. And it's not talk about the atavistic or it's a new clairvoyance. And according to Rudolf Steiner, we have to develop a new clairvoyance. And he said also that Vidar will bring the new clairvoyance, and several have concluded that this is a clairvoyance audience, and that is sort of safeguarded from the adversarial forces. Yeah, that was a little from what I've been doing lately. And now over to questions. Or your problems. That was my problems. Was it understandable what I tried to bring? Andre?
Yeah.
Yes, I think we need to review it in slow motion, and probably people going to review video again. Yeah, it was quite quick, but I have same effect. But in my situation, my one eye was open, left eye was open, and right eye was closed. So it was quite interesting. It just happened just one time. And I saw two different things by different eyes.
Yes.
So I saw elemental beings by left eye, and I saw some kind of etheric processes by right eye. I mean, it's vision and right eye was sort of look like something forming, and process was look like, you know, the milk in the water. I mean, forming some kind of maybe organs, maybe something like this. So I had this effect just once. I mean, accidentally.
Yeah. So I understand now that I have been working with this for many years, and in a way pendling between the different sense organs. And now I understand that, but I haven't been aware of it consciously. But now I understand that this is either we have to pendulate between them or change between them, or we have to be aware, like these quotes that I was telling, what we are doing. Are we looking through Saturn? Are we looking through March? Or what part of the soul?
Interesting. So dear friends, so please, your questions. Do you know how to raise your hand?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, Harry is first. Okay, we hear
Yes.
you. Okay.
Okay. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
I have a totally different problem, discipline. It's for me very hard to do it every day. It's I have time enough, but I forget it. And sometimes there are 2 days between, and then I pick it up again, and maybe 1 or 2 days. But it is I don't feel quite satisfied with this situation, and I want to know if somebody has a tip for me to make that stronger. It has to do also with motivation, and maybe my motivation is not strong enough. I don't know. So I like to have comments on this.
Okay, thank you.
That I have to leave to somebody else because I don't have that problem.
Well, Bonnie, okay, Bonnie, go ahead.
Yeah, just an answer to that real quick. Oh gosh, now I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah. What was the question again? About the motivation? Okay, yes, I know now. So, yeah, what are the consequences if we don't do it? Might be a motivation. So, what happens if we don't do it? What are the big consequences? And why are we doing it in the first place? Those are my questions to Ari.
That's your question, but I want to have advice.
Well, the advice would be, you know, what's the risk? What are the consequences that might be motivating for you to hear?
Mm-hmm.
I have some motivation.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm 62, and my motivation, I'd like to die consciously.
Yeah.
I'd like to just go into spiritual world, you know, without all kind of strange stuff. You understand? I mean, Harry. So because, you know, I mean, how much time we have here as earthly beings. So I'd like to just proceed in conscious matter and just go into spiritual world. So, like, you know, I'm a kind of citizen or member of it. So this is my motivation. But in terms of your question about discipline, yeah, I just established time in the morning. I think Jordan helped with it. So yeah, I just watched her video because, you know, she arranged a little altar and candle. So in my case, so I have comfortable chair, I have candle, and for some reason it's very helped for example to do it early morning when you're still full of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And one more tip: it's some kind of black background must be behind the flame.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, at least it helps to me because, you know, I'm fading into halo, not into flame, but in halo, you know, halo of light. So, and actually, thanks for Jordan. So, because she's fading above light. So, but halo. So, because I believe like a light, not a candle, but light actually is carrier of this etheric process, physical light, it's etheric process.
Mm-hmm.
My motivation.
Well, that's a good tip. I will try to be early in the morning with a black background and so.
Background, yeah, well, hopefully it will, because if you have like a full light, you cannot see this etheric halo around it. I mean, it's my personal tip, but maybe it will be helpful.
Oh, fine. Very
And the
good.
most important thing, I mean, how it starts. It starts in my case. So it's not necessarily you will go into flame or in halo of the flame. So, but it starts in the not exactly in the candle, but it starts that, holds it up with candle start to move. Like, for example, table is bending strangely.
Yeah.
It goes up and down, up and down. It's the beginning of the process.
Hmm.
Good.
I would say, may I comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I agree totally. You have to do it in the morning and evening. I think there's a routine in sunrise and sunset that gives you a rhythm to your day before anything else happens. And somehow in the morning, you're still sort of half asleep. So maybe your still astral body is stronger. And I just try to make sure I do it every day in the morning. And usually I do it in the evening as the sun's setting. But I think, like Ari, I really enjoy it because I experience so many things I have never experienced. I can't wait to get back so that I can do it again. And I find life is always interrupting me, my dogs and everything like that. So for me, I long to get back to my fading and see where I am now every day. But I think it's just a routine. It's a routine that you have to, like brushing your teeth. Before you do anything, you fade. Before you do anything, you could get your coffee. Ari was talking about this last week. Do you fade better if you've had coffee or whether you've had a shower? Do you fade better if you're really rested or if you're tired? You start to notice these things as you practice regularly. You go, yeah, no, I don't fade very well when I'm really hungry. Or I know we were talking about washing last week, about whether being clean makes a difference. And I haven't experienced that, but because I swim in a pond a lot, I'm probably totally covered in elemental beings all the time. But I think shampoo is really important. We talked about that the chemicals in a lot of the shampoos are not good when you shower. So there's many things that can affect your ability to fade. And you also have to ask yourself, like, I feel so drawn to this work. I don't know why. And if you're feeling that you're not being drawn in, because I feel like now I'm not actually in control anymore, someone's drawing me in, maybe you don't want to do it really. I don't know, maybe it's something that you have to ask yourself.
I'm not drawn in it. No.
Yeah, and I'd like to also add that, for example, candle exercise is not an exercise of how we have a perception of elemental beings. So it's an exercise of strengthening to me. So it means, I'm not going through candle into etheric world. So for in etheric world, I'm coming into different ways. So when I'm contemplating some things.
Good.
Yeah, and twilight, I think it's important to me. Twilight, being in the morning or in the evening. And Steiner actually, it's also indication of Steiner specifically regarding to mechanical occultism. So good forces are coming. Morning forces, this is morning forces. They are more morning forces and evening forces, not a day. So I think during the day, mostly negative forces are coming.
Okay.
All right, dear friends. Harry, are you good? You satisfied?
Yes.
Because we have some hands.
Lane Badger want to say something?
Yeah.
Lane Badger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Ari. I want to tell you an experience that might have bearing on the gentleman's last question. But for me, over the last, weeks that from one lecture to another, I've heard the name Vidor 3 times. And several days ago, just before I was going to bed, I heard the name, and I was in that subliminal state between awakeness and sleep, and I saw a tunnel or a large corridor that was opened up before me. Now, I'm not the type of girl that just goes wandering around. I have, my questions about Vidor, but I have been aware that there was a being that was kind of, making its presence known to me ahead of time. I couldn't quite make out the face, but in the terms of meetings with spiritual beings, sometimes they come gradually in, and then there is some, major, moment where they approach you very, strongly, and you can see all the details of it. Well, not all, there's so much, but at least you'll be aware of the presence of light coming into you and into your room, or wherever you might be. It could be in the forest that you meet beings, or just places that you don't expect. You can set yourself up for for success if you go to a sacred place, or in a church, or in nature, as Adi has lived his life. But they do approach. So my question to Adi is that at those moments when the name, without really further confirmation of vision and discussion, it came unbidden for me, opens up this this corridor, this portal. What do you think it's wise to do at that point?
I think it would be wise to actually start to talk with him.
Okay. What should I ask him?
That is up to you. That is individual.
Okay. All right.
I usually, when I meet spiritual beings, I usually ask them, what is your name? And as he already have said his name, and then I continue to say, what do you want with me, or what can I help you with, or I go actually further that way, and then so ask at what service you can be. Maybe.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, because I know with the Atmanic and Luciferic beings, particularly Luciferic beings, they do approach you sometimes, with an identity shift. There's some element of trickery that can come in.
But you see, there is one thing you should be aware of. When they are asked for the name, it seemed to me, and I have also heard several say, they have to answer true. But if you are not asked, they can give a false name. So even though he say Vidar, ask, who are you? And if you repeat it, then you are more sure.
Great. That's great advice. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so Harry, we are good with you. There are some people also, they have their hands up.
It's okay.
Okay, you're good. All right, so Patty, go ahead. You still have your hand.
No, I've
You good?
already spoken. That's fine.
Oh, you have. Okay. So, and Bob, where you are?
I was just going to add to Harry, but it was really brief that to also make it a part of a will exercise, so that I think maybe we all are a little challenged by the idea of making the project too big or the work too big, so that if we back off and say, what if I, for today, do it for only 2 minutes? And as one other person say, to make it part of what we do, part of our routine, part of our habit, it makes it easier even if we only do it for 2 or 3 minutes, that it then is part of our daily routine, and we build up. And from my experience years ago, when I did for decades, actually, a will exercise, even though it was very, very brief, I grew to love it. So I'm going to guess that if you even do it for 2 minutes, then, with the goal then to do it at least for 12, or like Ari originally said, and then longer, once you get in the habit of it, it will remain firm, and then you will get more and more often into the time period that will make it substantive. So that's my little 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Here's a couple of questions from chat box about candle exercise. So candle exercise in my particular situation, I'm using as wheel exercise. So it's pretty much to me like wheel exercise, but it's very, very joyful to me. So, okay, so Petra is next.
So, hello. Are you fine, Harry, or is this only the context of your question? Or can I ask a new question?
Sure.
So I've problems with so normally I am training while I therapy a horse or sometimes a human or a dog. And since I train more outside of this context of therapy, I feel more attacked by negative forces. And so I normally deal with it. It's okay for me. I knew it quite well, even in the context of the therapy. But in the last weeks, it becomes more and more so that I thought about not train anymore out of the context of my therapy, but I don't want to do so because I want to go forward. And these attacked from these forces is not so well. I feel not well with it, and it's at least uncomfortable. Perhaps a little bit more.
Well, I could comment a little on that. There are 2 things I would like to comment on. And the first is that what sort of Andrei said. He went into the etheric through the light, the surroundings of the light. And we have first to actually decide, do we go through the etheric or through the astral or through the elemental or through the I organization? Because that is the 4 doors, the 4 different paths to the 4 doors. And we can go through whatever path we want. The first door, then we have to use the etheric world or our etheric body to go through, and that is the classical anthroposophic path. Then we have the elemental, then we have to go through our elemental body. This path was, as I have said earlier, closed before, especially at the time of Rudolf Steiner, actually for 5,000 years, the Kali Yuga. And then we can go through the door of death when we use our astral body, or the door of light when we use our eye organization. So we have to first be quite aware through what we consciously go out. And then we follow that path and that takes usually some months or more, till we reach the door. The other is what Petra said, that she feels attacked by adversarial forces. And that is what several have told. But the point there is that when we go out, there is always a stream in. It's a double stream. So we have to be very conscious of the outgoing stream, because then we keep these forces away from us, or these beings of Lucifer, Ahriman, Asuric, and so on. Then we keep them away from us. Especially if we are in a period where we are a little tired, have too much work maybe, have not enough energy, then and it becomes a habit. That's what actually to this discussion of making it a habit. I have seen when you do it as you brush your teeth, as one said, but you can be aware when you brush your teeth, you are not aware that you brush your teeth. Actually, you just stand there and do the same thing. So you have to be aware all the time, that conscious that you go out. And if you do that, then you will not be attacked by foreign forces. That was my 2 comments.
Ari, just a question again. So, Petra, do you feel attacked during your practice or during just day life?
No, during therapy. Yes,
During
and
therapy.
this was my normal experience in therapy, and I wasn't attacked there years since, I don't know, since years, and it's new, yeah. And when I train outside this context, I'm not feeling attacked. Perhaps Are is right there. I'm more conscious in my newer path, perhaps in the elementals or in the eye consciousness path. And normally I go through the etheric or the astral, mostly through the etheric, and this is normal. And perhaps I'm not conscious enough there because my thoughts or my thoughts are with the parts I am training outside this context. This may be. Yeah, I will have a look. Conscious.
Petra, are you first?
There. Yeah.
Are you first class member?
First class member?
Yeah, are you a member of school spiritual science or no?
I don't understand what member of
Are
what?
you a member of the first class of Free School of Spiritual Science of the Anthroposophical Society?
No.
All right. No, I just this is in the class number 4. Steiner speaks about about not about attacking, but specifically when person reaching certain level in etheric, and specifically from mineral element, animalistic influence is coming. So pretty much human being becoming an animal. So Steiner's just saying, I mean, even person will be scared by himself, by herself. So, but it's a part of normal process, because through overcoming of this, let's say, animalistic influence, So
Mm.
you are growing further up.
Mhm.
You have to really generate forces to overcome. I mean, again, it's mostly for members of first class. So, but it's this kind of information. So I was scared in terms of my practice because yes, I mean, I'm feeling so I'm getting worse. But in fact, you have to really use your soul forces to overcome it. That's how you're growing into spiritual.
Mhm.
And on the path to all the four doors, you will meet adversarial
Yeah. Yeah.
beings. So you will have periods where you have to fight against it, or then you get a little scared. I mean, none of these paths are just like a walk on roses. It's
Yeah.
also
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
the thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to know if my experience are normal or not normal in
It is
this.
normal. It is quite normal.
Yeah.
And you have to work with it, with your will, with your intention, with your power, with your
Yeah. I will do so.
Mm.
Okay, so we have thank you, Petra. Thank you, Ari. So we have questions from Karina. Karina, would you like to show? Okay, great.
Hello.
Excellent. Hi.
Hi, Andre. Hi, everybody. Hi, Ada.
Hello.
My infancy stage, I actually found out all about this 2 weeks ago, and I have been binge watching every single thing. I am very interested in doing this work, and I'm very Christ-centric. I've tried different modalities as a holistic practitioner, and I didn't find Christ there. So this is very, very exciting for me. My question is, when I start fading, I'm not able, I can't see anything. I've done ayahuasca in the past and 4 nights in a row. And then at the end of going through hell and back, literally, I was in a place where it was like purgatory, very, very, very scary. I ended up meeting with Jesus, and he basically told me, I have given you and will continue to show you all the tools. They are free, and you can help everybody that way. When I found out about this, I was so excited. So I started trying to fade. What's happening to me when I'm fading, the candle, I'm using the candle exercise. I am actually able to, the room disappears and I'm there. The candle splits to 2 and there's like a black hole in the middle, and I'm trying to go, but I feel something pushing me back. So when it's pushing me back, I start praying, and I'm like, I'm meeting the Lord. I have to go through, let me through. I'm just passing through, and just I can't see anything else. And then my eyes start hurting after 15 minutes, and the flame turns off. I turn off the flame and I stop. So I started every practice. I pray basically to Jesus as I'm entering, and as I leave, I pray to close. My biggest fear was when I'm entering, I'm bringing something back with me. And you guys answered that question. Would a prayer to Jesus be sufficient entering? And when I come out, would it be sufficient to close whatever that door is?
Yeah.
That's the question I have. Hello?
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Oh, okay.
It's a great question.
Yeah, good question.
You see, there are on this path, there are many guardians or many thresholds. The first is actually when you leave this material world and enter another world. That is the beginning of the path, which I describe in the first lesson of the 19, this school that Andre mentioned, that you meet the spirit, and that is a threshold. And if you are not, and the good thing with these paths, if you don't use pushing substances or like ayahuasca or iboga and such things, is that there are traffic rules. You are actually stopped if you are not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have to do it again and again, and then you have to try to find out why am I stopped?
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually your obligation to find out. That is something you have to find out.
So I asked yesterday as I was in prayer. So this is the second part of the question. I asked because I had a feeling when I feel benevolent, not very benevolent spirits, I sort of feel the difference because I have fear, and the back of my neck, I suddenly feel the hair standing and I feel the shiver. But when I'm in the presence of Jesus, which I have had the pleasure of praying and having him talk back to me, there's this sense of peace. There is no fear. My whole being is filled with light and joy. When I was asking that question in prayer, why can't I go through? And the answer was, because you made it about you. You did not specify your why. If you don't get rid of your ego, and if you don't go in there for the right reasons, I'm not going to let you.
Yeah, that would be a good answer, I would think. Actually, I actually had already that thought, but I didn't want to say it.
No, but I would don't hold back with me. I want the raw, politically incorrect version of whatever you have to tell me, because this is bigger than my ego.
Work with your ego then.
Okay.
I would say the same.
Okay.
You have, but yeah, you have to be strong in your ego, but the ego has to be not about you. It's sort of Christ in me. Or what can I do for the spiritual world? What can I do? As I said to one before, the first thing you have to sort of ask is what can I be? What service can I be of? That was not good English, maybe.
I understand though.
What can I help with? Not about what you can help me with. Almost like John F. Kennedy's, don't ask what America can do to you, what you can do to America.
I was actually very, very under the impression that because I've gone through the thresholds with ayahuasca, I thought it'd be much easier of a route because I've already been in that realm. And the end goal is to meet, the guardians and then get to the Lord Jesus. And I was like, oh, but I hang out with Jesus. So I should have been able to go through, but I guess that's my mistake. And again,
No, that is not. It's like you have been, let's say you have been driving a car to wherever big city, New York. It sounds like you are American.
No, I'm Canadian. I'm from Toronto.
Yeah, okay. You've been driving a fast car to Ottawa.
Sure.
And then suddenly you are to do it without the car, and then you have to walk or ride. And that is something very different. And you cannot ride on the highway. You have to find another. And I would say this sport car, that could be this ayahuasca or other things, LSD or other substances. That is a highway, but you cannot go on the highway, then you get sore feet.
That's exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you have to find another way, path.
It's almost going on the highway, then walking through the fields. There's a little bit of a different of resistance. There's different elements that I have to deal with. And maybe I should take that like egotistical, well, I've been there and I'm so good at it. I should get that out of the way.
Right. Very good. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Are. I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, dear friends, more questions or experiences?
I have last time I was talking to you, that is 2 months ago. Did I talk about the fourth way, the fourth gate? You see, and when we did this exercise with the hand, we moved the astral hand first, then the etheric hand, and then the elemental hand. And that I've been doing for a long time. And then I was in England and I thought, why am I avoiding the eye organization and the fourth gate? And yes, I knew why I had been, because I thought it was too difficult for you. How do you go through the eye organization? And then I tried that first in England. And then they said, but this is easier. And it was easier. And then I tried it in Sweden. And they said the same. Well, this is easier. Then I did it in Germany. And they said the same. So, and this is so important. What I've been talking about for a long, long time is we have to go the path. We have to go into the spiritual world. And there are 4 paths and 4 doors. One is described by Rudolf Steiner, the door of the sun. One I have described, the door of the element. Then you have the door of death. And then you have this 4th door of light that is opened by Christ himself from the etheric. And this is maybe today the most important path, or maybe the most important door. The 4th door, the Christ door. Not the door of the sun, but the door of light. And when I introduced this door of light, I got a mail from Australia with a guy who said, I have found that door, he said, but I call it the door of love. And when I put that name, I was wondering, should I call it the door of loving light or love? So I said, it's very good. That's the door. And then you have to go through your eye organization. Which it seems very difficult maybe for you, but everybody say it is easier. So not the etheric, you don't activate life force, then you come to the first door. You don't activate your structure, then the elemental door. You don't activate your astral body, then you go to the 3rd door, the door of death. But you activate the warmth of the blood. And then you come into the 4th path, which is extremely interesting. And I've been writing about that now for some months. And I finished just actually today. And Glenn Charles is looking at the orthography and just now. So I will publish it in maybe a week or so. So again, as I commented on Andre, you have to be aware, are you going into the etheric or the elemental or the astral or the eye organization? And I think you are not enough conscious about what. Yeah. Now I said that. Bob? I can see the hands too.
Ari, can you say more about entering or using the practice of entering the warmth of blood that you were just talking about, and to activate, entering with the eye organization with the idea of activating the warmth of the blood. That
I will be happy to. I will first ask you, have I talked about that before? I have. Okay.
No, very briefly, but not
Very briefly.
substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in
Well,
details. Mhm.
Okay, because I have, as I said, I have avoided it, and it was just 1.5 months ago, after our last talk, I guess, that I was doing this in England, in London, and I thought, why not? And then it showed that I had underestimated all my friends. They did it very easily. You sort of be aware. It's the same way as the others. You have, if you are aware of your life force, then you in a way go through the awareness of life force with your consciousness.
Ich würde sagen, du kannst was sagen. Yeah. Okay, Are, I have a question. Can we do that now? Because it's a practical workshop now, and I like to do it. That you guide us and we do this.
Yes,
with
but
the
let me describe it first.
Yeah.
You want to do only the path of light?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me just finish we can try. Let
Okay.
me just finish. You have to be aware of your life forces, and then with your consciousness, you in a way go through / with this etheric body, and then you come into the 19 lesson path
Sun.
that
The
you want
sun.
to walk. Then you are aware of your feelings. You go through the feeling. Then you come to the door of death, the path of death, which is also, of course, very interesting. And Steiner said that we have to go through all the doors. Not only one, we have to go through all the doors, sooner or later, better sooner. As Andre say, I want to die conscious. I want to know what, and I am 10 more years than Andre. I'm 73, so I really am aware of that. And then you have the blood. You feel the warmth in, well, I go out from this area, upper in the pharyngeal area. Pharynx is a little over the larynx. So this area, I become aware of my warmth here. And through that warmth, I go into that warmth with my consciousness. I could mention that when I grew up, I found out that when I got a cold in my throat, I was sore in my throat, when I was 14, 15, around that time. And then I found out if I went into that pain, that soreness with my consciousness, the cold was very soon over, maybe often in minutes. So you have to go into this area, but not the pain, not the soreness, but the warmth of this area, the warmth of the blood. And through that, you come into another realm, another reality, and then you have started on a path of light, which bring you, well, I will not tell you that. I have, we don't go into that now. I have many pages of description just to be published. But that is what we can try to do now, like Harry suggested.
Fine. Would be fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then again, when we then have we try to bring all our sense organs with in this going into in the consciousness. I know I did that more unconscious, left eye, right eye, but now I understand that this is relatively important. I hope I don't make it a multitasking problem, because you are supposed to do something and do this and do that and do that, and that is might be a problem. But try to not only one eye or one nostril or one ear and so on. And then we try to go into this warmth. And then, as I said to Petra, you have to go out. You don't just open and be open, because then you are also, there is always a double stream. And you want to go out. We, as Steiner said, we have to go into the spiritual world. We are not letting the spiritual into us, because then that's open also for the adversarial forces. Okay, we can try that. Shall we?
Yes.
Sure.
Everybody,
Yes, let's do it.
everybody, we try 8 minutes. 12 is better, but some say 2 is enough. We try 8. Is 8 minutes okay, Harry?
Yes, fine.
Good.
Wunderbar.
Wunderbar. Okay. From, then I have to have a clock. Yes, from now. Stopwatch. Start. Okay. That was 8 minutes. So I will then ask you, what was the first imagination you got on this path? If you got. Yeah, Anok?
Hi. Yeah, so I had a question from before, but I will share from this exercise. I was first trying to connect with the warmth in this area, and then there's a tree here in front of my window, and I would just push towards the project myself from this area towards the tree, and then I would just see this vibrating, and but I would still see the things around. It wouldn't be like fading, but it would be shaking a little bit, and then maybe I could see something that could resemble a face. That's where I got, and I would just stay there, and then maybe try to connect back to the warmth and try to just keep kind of like, so that's because this is where I've been, and I've been, drawn to your work and trying to do this for a long time. So there's a lot of frustration in not being able to experience a lot of the things that, many are sharing, and I've been wondering,
But you must be patient. You must not be frustrated by it. That is very important. If you
Yeah.
are frustrated by it, you will stop yourself. You just be waiting in patience
Yeah.
and say, what comes will come. When I am ready, it will come.
Yeah.
When I'm worthy, it will come. That is the feeling you should have.
Yeah. Because I guess I go for phases where I'm very, excited or hopeful to just, experience, and I practice and practice and practice, and
Maybe you should be more patient.
Yeah.
And just say, when I'm ready, it will come.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, what.
You still have some years to do that.
Yeah.
You don't look to be 70 yet.
Yeah. No. But I'm wondering, like, what, where to look at to because I got what you were sharing in the last question, that it's about like figuring out what's holding me back, right? And sometimes I'm wondering, is it that my eyes get tired, and then I have to close, and then I open, and it's almost like I went.
But before we go into that, I would like to hear if somebody else, we can go into that later.
Okay.
Yeah, we have two hands from Patty.
Yeah.
Patty, go ahead.
Hi.
So the question is, what did appear when you tried to go through the warmth? That is my question.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what to fade into because I'm not in my usual spot. And you didn't mention, did it matter what we faded into? Because I find it's really important.
As we have said earlier, it actually doesn't matter. All can be gone through.
Okay, so I went through the pot light in my kitchen because I'm sitting here and the light is in front of me. I felt like, I don't know whether I've ever done this before, because I felt like I was trying to put a concept on the precept, so my mind was interfering because you had asked me to do something very specific, and I was intellectually then trying to figure out which part of my body it should come from, and I couldn't stop my mind, which I never have a problem doing when I'm feeding normally. I can always stop my mind from thinking, and I can just disappear.
But
So
not now.
it took me a while to actually try to get somewhere. So I saw the shaft of light came down, and I've done this in the kitchen before. The thing that was slightly different, it felt like there were two bodies in the shadows. There felt like there were two beings in the shadow in a beam of light.
Wow.
That's what I felt. In the past, I've only felt one being there.
And I have never said that, have I?
No. What?
What I was thinking when I was waiting for you all, and I was thinking, I wonder if anybody would see the two beings.
Yeah, I also had that.
And I had,
67, so I deserve to see the two beings.
yeah.
So this was unusual because I've seen.
But let me ask now, because now we have spilled the bean. Did anybody else observe a certain two beingness?
Yeah, guys, just unmute yourself, and if you saw two beings, just tell us.
Just just a specific question. Just answer. You can say, Jordan, did you see two beings?
Yeah.
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 And Leon?
No.
No, but that is the question. Don't raise your hand now. Others who did the two beings?
Yes, I had.
Who was yes?
In the beginning, it was one being.
Yeah, Harry, I had a feeling that you did, you see, but I didn't dare to ask you.
What?
I think you were the first. After 5 minutes, you had a vision of the two beings. I was following the clock.
It was in. I looked up, and it was on the right eye. There was a being. It was vague, not very clear, and left there was more or less a big tunnel opening. That's what I was experiencing.
Yeah, Harry, you did it very well. 5 minutes, you were already there.
Thank you.
I was watching all of you, you see, so I can see that I can go through these pictures and see quite much. And now I will spill the bean again. Who are these two beings?
Oh no.
You see, this is a path that is based on Christ. The elemental path is based on understanding of the elemental world. The path of the etheric is based on understanding the angel hierarchies or the higher hierarchies. The path of death is based on understanding karma, and the path of light opened by Christ himself is based on understanding Christ. And these two beings, the first that I came to, was the two Jesus children. And you can follow them for days when you start this. You follow them from the beginning up till the 12th year, up to the 30th year, and then you go on. But I will not spill too many beans, of course, because I, as a scientist, I know that to say too much, that bias you. And I don't want to bias you too much. But this is so important. And that is why this path of light is maybe the most important. What is more important than understanding the hierarchies? What is more important than understanding karma? What is more important than understanding the elemental world? That is to understand the Gospels. Now I said that. Thank you for listening. So this is actually what interests me before anything else now the last months. This go into, because you are led by this path, you are led into the Gospels. Yeah. Who are the Jesus children, says somebody. Yeah, that is maybe too much to go into now. But that is a fundamental, some sort of actually fundamental teaching or truth in the teaching of Rudolf Steiner. That is that there are two different stories about Jesus. One in Matthew and one in Luke. Two very different stories. So Steiner's conclusion is that there are two children that at the age of 12 merged to be one, where suddenly one became very wise in the temple. So that is that's the two Jesus children. And there are a lot of pictures about that here, about these two Jesus children.
Yeah, just I'd like to add. So one,
You can add
Jesus,
little.
one Jesus was for kings, and second, Jesus was for shepherds. So they've been coming to different Jesuses. Kings came to
Matthew.
yes, Jesus, who was in fact reincarnation of Zarathustra, the wise man, and shepherds came to Nathan's soul. Nathan's soul, which incarnated for very, very first time.
And there is also a connection with Vidar.
Yes.
There is a connection with Vidar and one of the Jesus children.
Yes.
We are connecting to Jesus of Nathan's soul.
Yeah.
So it's Jesus of shepherds, I believe. I mean, again, shepherds came to this particular.
But that is a long story and a little complicated. But yes, Vidar is the face of Christ and bring the Christ today to, as Steiner said, from the north to the south.
Okay, so we're ready for one more question. So it's Sue. Yeah, go ahead.
But did I tell you that now I got something else I have to tell you? Did I tell you last time about the that 1.5 page of Steiner's lecture is taken away? No, you see, I was in Holland and I was staying with Jan Robert Kelder, who had the first German book on a lecture given by Rudolf Steiner the 16th of May 2024, or was it 23? 23 it was, 16th of May. And there Steiner tell that in 100 years' time, that is but he said in about a certain time, there will come a Christ impulse from Norway, which will be very important for the rest of the world. And this Christ impulse will come from Norway specifically, mediated through Vidar. And he talked about that for 1.5 page. And this is taken away in all later translations and prints, even in the German. So in the English, we didn't find it in the English, not in the Swedish, not in the Norwegian, which is where it should be because Norway should be proud of it. And so we wrote, or Hudi wrote, to this Rudolf Steiner archive, and they promised to put it back into the English translation. And this is very important because that shows how important this path of Christ that now is open, how important that is to connect that with the Vidar stream. That comes from the north, actually, from Norway. So why this is taken away, I have wondered. Was it because somebody didn't like that Norway could be important, or was it some sort of national jealousy or whatever? I don't have no idea. It wouldn't surprise me because this was taken away in 1920-30, that time, you know, where the national pride was very big in several places. Yeah.
It's not the only, it's not the only place was taken away.
Oh, it was
In
many
karmic relationships also just really like 2 or 3 pages. The most important ones, specifically about relation of movement to the society. I mean, was taken away because it's not important.
Yeah.
That, but yeah.
No, but I was remember it because somebody asked about mentioned Vidar, the Vidar stream, and the Christ. And Vidar is one of the guardians of that Christ path. There are 4 guardians in that door of light: the Nathan soul, Vidar, Adam Kadmon, and Odin. Odin, which is a very high angel. I don't know enough about him to elaborate too much about him. So, yes, thank you. That was interesting, Patty.
So here, Jordan would like to speak. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, when you see the 4 guardians of the doorway of light, do you perceive them on your right or your left, or are you perceiving them in front of you? Where do they stand to you?
At first, they were on the left.
Okay.
But then I went to stand straight in front of the 4th door. And then, of course, they were straight in front of me.
Yeah, because what I've been noticing when I'm traveling, and I appreciate that you were talking about the switching of the eyes, because I was noticing I was doing that as I was fading. It was almost like a rebalancing that was going on, where I would notice myself kind of going like this from one eye to the other. And so when we just practiced now, and I visualized more of that circular movement that you were speaking to, it kind of felt like a spiral drilling, you know, almost like a mole, you know, going through like cutting out a tunnel or something like that. And my orientation was a little bit different than when I am normally fading, and I'm kind of just feeling more of like the pendulum between the 2 eyes. And how I've perceived the doorway of light opposite to you. And so this is where this might be really interesting, male versus female, I'm wondering, because I perceived the 4 male guardians on my right, but then I perceived a 4 female balancing guardians on my left as I was seeing the doorway of light. And then basically how I was shown kind of this, which we talked about last time, the geometry of the disciples and like the geometry of where kind of like where they were doing their deeds, but I was shown it as almost like an aerial view of the map of the geometry of it. But it was curious to me how those guardians were on my right side, and on you, for you, they were on your left at first. But then if, like you said, if you reorient yourself, then they're kind of in front of you. So it's interesting how once you've faded, there's kind of all these different orientations you can do and maybe this is because of the eyes, or like you said, the different sense organs, like what we're moving from. Because I find myself kind of, sometimes I'm oriented more left and I'm viewing things like very much to my left and like seeing a whole thing over here, and then I kind of like reorient myself, and then I can be more centered. So it's just something to think about more. But I did think that was kind of interesting that I basically saw the 8, but it was like a balancing of the masculine and feminine in that doorway of light. So something to think about.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've been very aware, and what you said, Jordan, that and my wife tell me that quite often, that remember that you are a Norwegian man, and a German girl or an English girl or American girl will, or a woman will maybe see it differently. And that is why we are every second incarnation, more or less, man and woman, because we see things differently. And it's so important also when in such description that you don't take my description as certain. You must find your own description, your own path. They are not totally different, but like you said, left is right, right is left. There are certain differences. Male, female, male balancing each other in another way, and so on. So that is very important that we remember.
Here? Yeah.
Harry?
Yes. I want to bring in something which maybe somebody already knows. And there is a lecture of Steiner where he is putting emphasis on the 3 types of clairvoyancy: the one of the head, the one of the heart, and the one of the belly. And that there are meditations, and they are meant for to control if what I am perceiving in that certain field, if it's right or not. And I was searching where this lecture is, but now I have to search in my chaos. And the first one, the clairvoyance of the third eye, has to do with black and white images. The heart is much more vivid and alive, and the belly one is of a kind I don't remember. Anyway, the first meditation, which has to do with the third eye, is one which has to do with meditating the face of an angel. So do you know this lecture?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is a very interesting thing.
But you see, I must comment there, because these meditations are preparations of walking. And what I've been really trying to make you do is to really walk into the spiritual world.
Okay.
And Steiner thought probably, and he said that his friends could more easily follow him. And that is the following that is important. And then you have to go through your etheric or astral or elemental or eye organization. That is the movement. What you described there, or Steiner described there, is the preparation. That is not the move. That is not the walking.
Okay.
That's quite important for me to underline.
Yeah. I was interpreting it. Maybe it's my fault in a false way. It's possible. That is, it's also to control what you have been seeing when you're already walking, if that is authentic or not, by means of these meditations. So that's how I want only to bring it in, and maybe it's useful, or we can forget it also.
No, it's useful. It is useful. It's useful as like you said, evaluation, but it doesn't make you walk. That is
that's right. That's
and
right.
that was the frustration of Steiner in 23, 24, part 25, that nobody could follow him.
Okay. I understand.
Okay, thank you. Here is Sue, who is waiting for a long time. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Ari, for all of this and your teachings. And I'm very new to this, and I have not practiced fading very much, so I'm feeling kind of shy. But I wanted to share my experience because of many of the things you said in today and in other lectures. And one is that I automatically close my eyes. I'm not practiced on fading with my eyes open. And I remember you saying this might be being more comfortable going into the etheric world. And when we started the meditation, I realized I was waiting for your direction. You'd already talked us through what to do, but I was kind of waiting. It's like, oh, we need to do this. You already told us what to do. And I focused on my life body first, around my elemental body, and feeling the warmth through it, and trying to feel the warmth and in my larynx. I mean, it's not real isolated to me. Those two are joined, and my body went black, and I saw where some spots in my body where there is not much life force flowing, but I didn't, and I tried to bring some warmth to it, and then I tried to leave through the larynx pharyngeal body, and a tunnel of golden light with blue sparkles just opened up. And it's like, wow, am I, and so, and I was aware of my mind asking questions. Is this real? Is this just an imagination, or is this really the path? And aware of kind of cloudy beings. They weren't real specific to me. I mean, weren't real clear, but a sense of beings around. And so I remember to ask who you are, and may I enter. I may have asked if I could enter even before I asked who the beings were, and I got a yes. And the first being was Michael, and I thought, we haven't talked about him, but of course he's the guardian of Christ. And it's like, okay, here I'm in my mind again, let it go. And I'm kind of looking for Sophia, but nothing is very clear. And it's like, let this go. This is a thought. But then Vidar, the name Vidar came. And I was just really surprised, because I thought he was related to the elemental world, or crossing through that threshold. And I knew I was going through, the I organization and possibly the etheric, not real clear. And then I was just in this beautiful chamber of golden light and blue sparkles. To me, that's the etheric Christ. and asked some questions about my path and got very clear answers, and some questions about other people and got very clear answers. And it was, you called us back. So I just wanted to share that experience and see what you had to say about it, given my newness to this work. Thank you.
Well, I cannot comment too much because, as I told you, you have to find that path or evaluate it yourself. Yeah, but to me, it sounded true. What you?
It felt true. It really felt true.
Yeah, no, it did. It sounded. You know, Vidar is, according to Rudolf Steiner, the sort of executive of Mikael, because Mikael now is an archai, and he have very different work, very different tasks than to sort of speak with us. It seems to me that the archai does not speak so easily to us humans, but the archangel and speak much better, and that's why Vidar have now, as Steiner said, the work of Mikael. He represent Mikael, and he represent through Mikael also Christ. Yeah. And Vidar is the guardian, one of the guardians of the fourth door, and also guardian of the elemental door. So he is two places. And in the spiritual world, that is totally possible. I mean, there are not places. There are, you can be actually two functions at the same time. The spiritual beings, they can really multitask. Christ can be with every person in the world at the same time. It's they are this. And one other thing that reminds me to what I thought about when Andre in the beginning talked about the 19 lessons. One of the more important things when you come into the spiritual, and that is the 14th lesson, the whole 14th lesson is more or less about that you will meet then totally different realities or laws, you might say. Here in the physical world, we have the physical, the law of the air, of the water, of the earth, of the fire. And when we go into the spiritual world, says Steiner, spiritual, then these laws do not work anymore, and we have to adapt to the laws that relate to the spiritual. And I would actually, he say it like that. And Lucifer wants us to do this, and Ahriman to that, and Christ is sort of tell us that as long as we are in the spiritual, we have to leave the physical laws behind. But I will enlarge to that, because when you go into the etheric world, we have to apply to the etheric laws. When we go into the elemental, there are different laws. When we go into the I organization or the spiritual world, higher spiritual world, their laws are again different. And one of the laws there is that you can be everywhere at the same point, same time, which is ununderstandable in this physical world. How can, like young people in school say, how can Jesus be with everybody? What if everybody talk with him? How is this possible? It is possible, but we cannot understand it. And those laws that we have started to understand, for example, by studying quantum physics, and that is the laws of the elemental world, how entanglement, that two photons can stay connected over 100 light years. What happened to one happened immediately to the other. We don't understand that because that is a law in the elemental world. We just have to accept the laws are different. Yeah, that was just a comment. But that is important because if we don't accept that, we again stop ourselves. Then we corrupt ourselves. When we put a concept on a percept, we destroy for ourselves. When we think that the laws are the same, we destroy for ourselves, and so on. When we feel fear, we destroy for ourselves. When we feel hate or whatever, we destroy for ourselves. We have to sort of be very open and accept that these worlds are very different. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. One last comment, one last memory. As at the end, I guess I did call myself back before you did because I asked for a blessing for myself. And I entered this tunnel of fire. I was never scared during this. And I thought, fire, now I'm in the elemental world. And I got, this is the fire, the flames of his sacred heart healing me. And then you called us back. So as you talked about the different laws, it's like it doesn't all make sense intellectually, but that's what happened.
No, that's a thing, you have to leave your intellect behind. You have to understand that you don't understand anything. That is what I wonder sometimes when Socrates, the old Greek, said that the one who understands most understand that he doesn't understand anything. That has to do actually when they viewed the different worlds, that they didn't understand anything. Yeah.
Yeah, here's a question from Bonnie.
Yeah, it was not a question. I was just going to share my experience. I started fading into one of the stars behind you, Ari, in your background, the 5-pointed star hanging from your ceiling there, from your beam. I started fading into that because one of them is kind of backlit. And then, my etheric body kind of went into the 5-pointed star, eurythmically moving. Then I closed my eyes. And it came to me, you were talking about going out from the throat, not letting anything come in. So I started closing my throat and breathing in through my nose, and then opening my throat and breathing out through my mouth. I don't know why that came to me, but I just started doing it. And then I not so much saw beings, but I felt the duality of the Christ Sophia. So I was feeling the warmth and the light. So the love, Nathan, the light, the Solomon child. But also the balance of the male female, as Jordan was talking about. And I have been, apart from fading, I've been meditating and calling in the Christ Sophia. Whether that is one being or two beings, I don't know, but the feelings, that's maybe clairsentience, I don't know, not clairaudience, clairvoyance, but maybe that's a kind of clairsentience where I'm feeling the warmth light, and it just brings me to tears sometimes when I'm feeling that entrance, or that, not entrance, but kind of merging with this being, this light, warmth, love, loving liquid light being. So that's my share.
Yeah, thank you. I think you have expressed yourself very clear and good.
So, what do you think, Ari? Shall we make a choice for next meeting? So, what date, time? It will be same time, probably. Oh, Saturdays will be excellent. So we're looking end of July, I believe, which is marking 2 months from now.
End of July, let me see. Yeah. 26 would be good.
26, okay, let's do it. So it's okay.
The same time, that is 6 o'clock my time, and
6 o'clock your time, Norway. 11 time, o'clock
11.
Central Time, US.
Okay.
Mexico. Excellent. So shall we conclude, or more questions, dear friends? So use this possibility.
I would ask you till next time, try to be aware, conscious about these 4 paths. Just in a week, there will be a book available that is called The 4 Paths. So, this is, try to distinguish these different paths, not only the elemental, but all 4. And maybe, and I think that more and more that the 4th path is maybe the most important, what we have started on now for the first time. Go through the warmth, the I organization, that is maybe very important. That's all I want to say, and then we will discuss the results of these 4, especially the 4th, next time.
Thank you. Good.
Okay.
So here's just a question from Emma, and Emma is joining us for first time.
Okay.
And her question is the idea of Christianization. So where this idea came from?
The Christianization.
It was like, I understand, it was long story that it was suggestion of Judith von Halle. Am I right? To Christianize.
Yeah. Well, that was in. I tried to find out how to treat without translocation, and that was what she said. That is to treat with Christ consciousness. And that is a long story that we don't have time for that now.
Yeah. Emma, looks like we have to wait maybe next time, or I don't know. I mean, if it in any of your books, Ari, how did you come to? Yes.
Yes, in several, at least 3.
And in
Mhm.
there's on YouTube that we've all of these the lectures that you've been doing all this time. You can watch them all in order.
Yeah.
And you talk about translocation a lot there.
Yes.
Well, it's a good suggestion because I put it together.
Yes.
So Emma, we have all videos together on channel, which is Threefold Mankind channel. So you can watch from number 1 to number 14 and 4 practical workshops too. Okay. All right. So shall we say goodbye for now? And so it will be next workshop next month and practical workshop in July.
Yeah.
So, dear friends, thank you so much for joining. Thank you to Ari.
Thank you, Ari.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Andre.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you. Thank you, Andre.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye, dear friends.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Andre.